Hello, this is Myst with Myst Astrology, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this episode, I am exploring the potentials of the Aquarius new moon with my wonderful friend Josie. You can follow her on Instagram at raw_ascension. She is a phenomenal intuitive energy worker, a conscious guide, and she's just here to empower us with her loving spiritual nourishment and lifestyle with custom meal plans and raw living. So if you want to learn more about her, feel free to follow her on Instagram at raw_ascension. And for those of you located in Mountain Standard Time, the Aquarius new moon will be happening on January 31st, late at night, right before midnight. So these are exciting times. I ask that you go ahead and subscribe and like this video just so the YouTube algorithm can keep you in the mix and also anybody else who could benefit from this conversation. I look forward to sharing more videos with you all and enjoy.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. First of all, thank you. I love chatting with you about anything, but most certainly astrology. And so if you want to see anything else about me or hear me talk about astrology, that would be Raw Ascension on Instagram. I'm also working with Higher Self Friendly, and so you can catch me at events. Also with a consciousness rising, which is pretty much where we do a lot of our thing, right?
Right, yeah, there's
At
some
one of those
phenomenal
two
communities
places.
in Phoenix, Arizona. So, uh, for any of you all on the internet who don't know that MYST Astrology Myst is based out of Phoenix, Arizona, and Josie and I are affiliated with a lot of amazing groups that are just focusing on transforming and connecting to our higher selves and embracing authenticity. Higher Self Friendly is a great group, and A Consciousness Rising, which I will tag in this video in the caption. So just check out the caption for more links to those communities if you want to stay tapped in with us. And this is a bit of an experiment for us. We typically talk about astrology together in person. This is our first time
Oh,
doing it virtually. And for more people than just those who have signed up to experience our activation astro chats. So I'm super excited. Aquarius is all about trying new things, and this is just in time for the Aquarius new moon. Whenever we have a new moon, it's a period of setting a new intention or direction that maybe builds from whatever we were working on throughout the year or last month, or maybe completely revolutionizes it and changes its direction. So I've been feeling a lot of new energies with Aquarius. Of course, Aquarius is associated with recreating or rather innovating something different than what was made up before. And we have had so much energy lately with Venus going into retrograde in December, around December 19th, and then moving into the direct motion just this past weekend on Saturday, which was yesterday. Um, and we
shift.
have, yeah, just happened. And we have some crazy cool transits coming up in February with the Sun conjunct Saturn kicking off this new moon, but also Venus and Mars going into conjunction throughout February too. So I think that's what we're going to be focusing on a lot in this call, just talking about especially Venus and Aquarius energies with the new moon and how we can work with the heat of the transits right now to cultivate results that are meaningful to us, that align with this North Node journey that I talked about briefly in the Astrology of 2022 video. And also, if you're in connection to the posts that are on my Instagram account, you can read more about that as well. But yeah, Josie, did you have anything in specific that you wanted to kick us off with the new moon?
Oh man. So I mean, God, like I said, I will talk to you about astrology anytime. For any reason, pick a planet, pick a transit, but I love the moon. I work with lunar energy and I know you do as well. And it's just so special to me. And I feel like it's sort of like the draw for everyone, call it a gateway drug, if you will. Because Luna calls you in, and she has, excuse me, for just forever, for all of human existence. Even animals gaze up at the moon. She's captivating, and so we're in the absence of her, right? Apparently, here on Earth in this plane, the new moon is a time of of change, of introspection, of reflection, a time to sort of like slow down and go inside. Now, when you bring Aquarius energy for me into that new moon, Aquarius energy is something that I'm painfully familiar with. I have an Aquarius moon myself, and so I will be the first to tell you that the moon is sort of awkward in Aquarius. The
Yeah.
the feelings and Aquarius, we have them. It does exist. It really is there. You might not see it, but our job is to really process and understand those emotions so that we can then experience them. It kind of
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
it works that way, it seems to be.
Yeah, and when you say like how the moon is a little bit awkward in Aquarius, I've also noticed that the nature of Aquarius energy is to grab our attention, to say something needs to be realized here, something is ready to be taken to its next level. And a lot of times we forget that the essence of going to that next level, to that more elevated understanding of life isn't going to feel familiar or it's not
Yeah.
always
Oh, I'm
going to
glad you said that
feel,
word, familiar.
yeah, familiar or comfortable or
There is
predictable.
nothing familiar about Aquarius. Aquarius by nature is foreign. Aquarius is that like awkward kid that like dresses 10 years before their time, or like the invention that's like irrelevant because it doesn't serve a purpose because the thing that it helps hasn't been invented yet. Like it's not better than anything. It's not smarter than anyone. It's just literally a little bit like up in the air or in the future or however you want to look at it. It's sort of like that. I like to describe Aquarius. I did last time we talked about this. Describe Aquarius energy as sort of like that person that walks up to this group of scientists that have just emerged from this think tank with this revolutionary concept that's going to change everything. And Aquarius, a fellow scientist, walks up, casually eating an apple and just says, "Hey, what is this?" And they're like, "Look at this, we've created this and it truly is." And Aquarius is like, "Yeah, this is great. Have you thought about doing this or changing this there?" And um,
Yeah, I've been saying like
yeah,
Aquarius
and then
is
it's like,
allowing the plot twist.
immediately elevates it, and that's that job of that air sign Aquarius, is to elevate it. That can be uncomfortable, that can be foreign for people, and where Aquarius energy gets in trouble is where it meets the ego. And this is really important for anybody that has this placement, but especially when it comes to the moon, because it reflects our feelings. And when ego gets involved with that, it's really when we get in trouble. I believe it has to be an understanding that these ideas, these innovations, these elevations, they're not ours per se. It's just that Aquarius has one of the attributes, would be one of the features of Aquarius, so to speak, would be an antenna that's a little bit farther out there. I feel like Pisces has this extended antenna in a way, in a much different way, in a much more psychic way. Um, Yeah.
Definitely.
So you combine all of that, if that makes sense, to the new moon energy, which I don't know. What do you feel in the new moon, Miss?
Well, I love that you brought up Pisces because when we're looking at this Aquarius energy, we're coming out of this Capricorn season and we
Hmm.
have when I look at transits, especially with the new moon, I look at planets that are also kind of dancing and saying, "Oh, look at me, I'm relevant right now too." And Venus has decided to shift from this period of review and going into this more period of direct motion. When she was in retrograde, she was going backward throughout Capricorn. So as she's shifting into her direct motion, she's going forwards and she's going over all the things that she was reviewing, but with a forward momentum. And
Yes.
I feel like this new moon is kind of a rocket launch with this Capricorn energy. And the fact that Capricorn is the sign that comes right before Aquarius is very significant because Capricorn was establishing something. Its purpose is in a
Yeah.
way to build upon a foundation to cultivate some sort of empire or structure in life. And Aquarius is over here with its antenna stretched out, feeling the
Yeah.
future before the future has actually been materialized, which is what Capricorn is involved with, the materialization process. So having Venus shifting into direct motion during this new moon. And also the sun is going to be conjunct Saturn. Saturn is the planet that relates to Capricorn. And then the sun is just pretty much everything that illuminates our daily life. And this could go from anywhere from our self-expression to our career, but it's a significant indicator again that structuring a lot of structuring in our life is getting that Aquarius facelift.
I just love that you said that. It's just so always in line with what I'm feeling because it's like this radical change that people have to understand Aquarius brings, and it's that facelift shock where like you see these stars who go under the knife and then they come back to a red carpet event and they look like a different person because they have new, you know, they have a new face. And that's what Aquarius can be, that shocking and that innovative. And so I kind of want to highlight that can sometimes, and for specifically this second full moon or new moon of the year, it's like this, in a way, I don't know how to feel. Aquarius to some can be almost like a somber energy. It's very somber, this new moon in Aquarius. It's very much taking us into a place of like just sort of settling, especially with all of the transitions right now with planets stationing direct and all of the
Mercury
motions. I
too,
know
yeah.
that you feel it. Mercury and Pluto are dancing right now. Like, oh, Pluto.
You're
Hi.
like feeling the energy while you're talking about it.
Hello, Pluto. Hi there. Pluto's another thing that I was really excited to talk about tonight.
Yeah,
I
what
mean, the
about it?
new, yeah, I just feel like it's really amplifying and kind of coming in and sort of like whispering, like dancing around sort of like the planets right now, whispering this like, I don't know. It's just like
I've been
a
feeling
time.
Pluto. Oh, I we always do
That's
this.
like like my favorite. Go.
So I've been feeling Pluto too. And the reason why I ask is because I know that during this Aquarius new moon, right, we have Venus going into direct motion. We have other planets like Mercury going into direct motion, and Mercury is our mind. It's the way we communicate. And they're both in Capricorn. So these are like the structures, the foundations in our life, our sense of responsibility as well, and what we're committed to. And they're squaring the nodes, which is Taurus and
Yeah.
Scorpio, and Scorpio relates to Pluto. So I was seeing Pluto showing up as a lot of karmic themes coming to a closure, but
Yeah.
these karmic themes are coming to a closure in a very Plutonian way, which can be intense, and kind of going into the parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily investigate from the surface, that we have to kind of really go into that inner journey of listening and experiencing. And with Venus in this direct motion, Venus is our pleasure. It's our ability to know what we need and what we want. And Pluto is kind of like amplifying this investigative nature
That's
of
it.
it
That's what I'm
too.
saying. It's an amplification. It's like this, like, it's like, it's like that hype man, that little like in your shoulder, like, oh yeah, like, how are you feeling about that? Like, like, I don't know. I just am getting that. But also, Pluto does that. It kind of takes us back into that part of ourselves.
Yeah, that inner unfolding of I'm like thinking about the roots of a potato. When you leave a potato in the pantry for a little bit, and you forget about it, you're like, oh, it'll be there, it's okay. And you come back and it has all these roots coming in and growing out of it
No,
because there's still an energy that uh, is always
my gosh,
going
yeah.
deeper back into where it came from. Um, and sometimes we don't see what that is, and we have to go through some experiences of seeing it, which can feel amplified or more intense.
I just see Pluto packed in there with Saturn and Mercury, layered in there with Mercury and Venus and Mars, like just packed in there. And I just feel like all of that energy is really taking us like deeper into all of these themes that are sort of being presented by these. I mean, Uranus is squared this new moon. It's like
Oh yeah, that's a good point too.
a
Uranus is
lot
just an
happening. And I mean, right now, the sun, the moon, and the earth are in alignment. That's what's happening right now. Now is the time to rest and plan the steps to move forward. You brought that up with Capricorn energy. Something else I want to bring up, if it's okay, is that tonight, right now, the moment that we're speaking, the moon is void of course. Okay. And so this is something that I'm not sure a lot of people talk about. But this is really a time for me, especially when it lines up with this like new moon, like before new moon is really sacred time for me, magically speaking and energetically, astrologically, all of it. But um really now is the time to be with yourselves, like truly, like unselfed. I want you to think like Scorpio status, like really like coming out of that exoskeleton, like, but like just truly. The reason I say that is because the moon is like finished like all of her dancing and she's just going into the next sign, right, which is going to be Aquarius. And so the moon, Luna is in this like rest period, and it's so beautiful how she does this so frequently, that it's like her own time. It's very Cancerian in nature. It's very much like, listen, like, I need this space. Don't come near me. I gifted you all with my beauty. And now I'm, in this void of course space. And so what do we do during this time? Like, before, it transitions into that new sign, for me, it's a time to be without distractions or without influence even.
mm,
And this can be kind of uncomfortable. That's why I mentioned somber energy. This is a somber energy coming from a void of course moon going into a new moon in Aquarius. Like, again, Aquarius. Awkward energy. I'll be the first to say I have an Aquarius moon, guys. Like, it's awkward energy in there. It's
Aquarius I've been seeing it as having a third mind. So it's able to be in an environment and be communicating and sharing ideas, and it's able to really
observe it.
observe its own mind and the mind of
That's what we're
others
doing.
too.
We do feel, we're just analyzing why we feel and why you're feeling that way and what could change it and how it happened. And it just becomes this thing.
And I've seen with
That's also an air thing.
Mercury, and I've seen that this is really special though, because we've had Venus in Capricorn, and it's now that Venus is going into direct motion, it's making its way back to Aquarius over time. And Mars is in Capricorn. It's making its way into Aquarius. And with
Yeah, I
Pluto in the
love that.
mix, yeah, that void of
The
course
Aquarius
energy.
energy is like Saturn's in there, and there's a lot of it's shaking stuff up. It's
It's
shaking it up.
shaking stuff
Aquarius.
up. It's triggering things. And ultimately it's really getting us to investigate our passion and our ability
Yeah,
to act
yeah.
and on what we need and want. But the Aquarius energy is like taking us to the next step of that. And like in a very, I've been seeing it as a very much more sovereign way than we've ever experienced. I think
Sovereign, yeah.
in our collective consciousness, just this coming from a place of honoring the sovereignty in all of us,
Yep.
and choosing to take action with those needs and wants and asserting ourselves in a very sovereign way. And this is going to be a journey all the way until April, because Mars and Venus are going to be doing this
Oh
dance
yeah.
through Capricorn, then through
Yeah.
Aquarius. So,
Uh-huh.
but right now it's like we are, the cycles are, they mix and they blend to create a result. It's not just one chapter close, next chapter. They layer on top of the other. And
Love that.
I'm
Yeah.
finding that the fact that this new moon on the chart is conjunct Saturn. Saturn has to
Mm.
do with our lessons. It has to do with our commitments and Capricorn energy. And we're experiencing this new level of commitment to our sovereignty, but also commitment to what we are feeling in our hearts is of value, having gone through this review period. So yeah, taking a step to like pause and feel like within yourself, within that more somber mind, not as influenced by other people's perspectives, um, to build, because Capricorn's going to build stuff throughout
Oh
February.
yeah.
It's
That's
going to start
important though.
building.
Whatever you give it though. That's that we were talking about that. Whatever you give Capricorn, whatever you have going on at the new moon right now, like this energy that's happening with all the planets, all this dancing, this is my humble opinion. Whatever you've decided, because what Venus has been doing in retrograde, in my opinion, she's been asking us to evaluate what makes us feel beautiful. What do we love? What creates beauty in our soul? What inspires us in a beautiful
Mm,
way? What is the muse inside of that beauty? Everyone looks at just the aesthetic of beauty when it comes to Venus, and I'm here for it, but I'm kind of also done with it. And I really want to look at the fact that Venus represents our greatest muse in life. It's that creative spark of beauty. It's a productive beauty in a way. I
that's
guess that's my
beautiful.
Capricorn stellium.
No,
I
that's
don't know.
beautiful. I think that's also the Aquarius energy taking us to that next level of understanding beauty as residing from, I say like a kingdom of love and beauty that's within. That once we validate that, and validation isn't coming from someone else's influence, but rather from our sovereign validation, we begin to share that with those around us, and those around us get to notice their own beauty and kingdom of beauty within their own soul. It's just a new experience, and I am convinced that this is an energy that's going to take our evolution to a whole next step. And those who are ready to
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
take action from their new understanding of love and value and beauty as being a muse of life, and not something that's tailored to please whatever perspective you have. And we're talking about sovereignty here, but finding that beauty in that sovereignty. Wow, like there's going to be a whole group of the collective that are going to be building this new connection with themselves and the rest of creation. And it's going to be like Aquarius, that revolution, that new society.
Well, yes. And what's
New
important about
beliefs.
this Capricorn Aquarius transition energy is that what what you got to understand about the earth signs, especially Capricorn, because Capricorn doesn't care as much, not as warm and fuzzy as Taurus. And, Virgo is not really that warm and fuzzy, but it's in there because they're the healers. They kind of have that nurture, but Taurus is definitely, it's more of that, like, I'm going to build whatever the hell you hand me. You give me these tools. Okay. You want it? Sure. I'm going to build it for you. It looks like shit. It's not my problem. Pass it over to Aquarius. Aquarius is going to elevate it. So this is very important. And this started back in Scorpio like season when we needed to go deep and all of these like other transits were happening. This is why we pay attention to this and we do our work in alignment with this, so that when we come to these building phases of the zodiac wheel, we have things that are ready to go. We hand the earth signs like tangible, like things like, here, make this something, and then they make it something. We create it, but you're gonna get what you ask for. You be very careful.
Great
This is like
reminder.
manifestation. Like you have to be very clear. And Venus retrograde for me is that time to take stock of what do you want in your relationships. Yes, in your relationship with yourself first. In your relationship with yourself, how's my relationship with myself as it pertains to my line of work? How's it my relationship with myself as it pertains to my relationship with my parents? Like whatever that is, whatever your relationships and how that, I feel like that is amplified when it's all in retrograde. And if you don't figure that out, then whatever is handed off onto that Capricorn energy is then built. As you mentioned, it is happening right now, building in progress. It's going to be spit out perfect on the other end, but it's going to be perfect according to what you handed Capricorn. And then Aquarius will elevate and so on down the line. And so be aware of that. And if you're not happy with what you're manifesting right now, do not dive into doom and gloom. Look to the wheel and how you can catch the next cycle. And if you don't understand what that means, reach out to an astrologer. And that's literally what we do, right?
Exactly. Yes. These are great reminders. And when you mentioned like the deep work that we've been doing to get to this point of refining what it is that we're handing off to Capricorn to build, um, it made me think about the Gemini. I think it was a solar eclipse um, in June 10th of like 2021. Um, I felt like whenever there's an eclipse, there's a huge imprint for what we're working with to heal in the cycle or to advance. And um, any themes that were present around June 10th, uh, be
Oh
ready to
yeah.
look at those again and look at them, and having understood
Yeah.
what we've gone through in Scorpio season, which was around November, the emotional boundaries that we've had to learn about, and resolve within our relationships, within ourselves, are definitely Capricorn's like, all right, what did you, like you said, like that blueprint, like what did you discover? What are you ready to build?
Yeah.
And there's like an unwavering like commitment and focus with having so much Cap energy with
That's
Venus and
it.
Mars and Mercury, like
Capricorn
it's
will
doing it.
do it. Capricorn will do it. It's like, you know what? This is gonna look like, I mean, it's not like don't care energy, but like I said, it's not as warm and fuzzy. It's not like gonna
It's
explain to you
objective.
what you did wrong. It's exactly, yeah. It's like, all right, we're gonna do this. Let's run this through, Let's get this into production. I
Yeah,
just I love it. I love the combination though. I love what's coming. I feel like collectively what I've been seeing with my clients and just with everywhere we're in our community and just outwardly speaking, there is a lot of innovative expression and ideas. There are ideas and things like coming to the surface that are becoming more available and maybe more discussed. And um, I have some, hope for that. I feel like this Aquarius season could bring us some really interesting stuff.
definitely be prepared for the plot twists. That's what I've been finding. We're still at the very early degrees of Aquarius, and I have already, in my personal life and in the life of those close to me, have had
Surprise!
plans just completely shift in a different direction, or their ideas completely shift based on, of course, what it is that Capricorn is now building up and Aquarius is taking to that next level. So yeah, I think February with Mars and Venus being next to each other too, like this is fueling, it's a love, expansion, desire,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
magnetism,
Holy
charisma,
cow. And there's a huge pop.
sensual.
It's like a cork. It's like a cork off a champagne bottle whenever Venus goes direct. Like, I don't know how to say it. Like,
Woo! I love
it
that.
really is like we're going back for it. But it's just kind of also keep in mind that it's in Capricorn, which in it's so funny because for me, I'm so subjective to the individual that I'm talking to and where their placements are. And I happen to know where yours are and mine myself. Like this is a time, but there are some people that may not be feeling exactly like what we're describing. And I guess I just want to be the first person to say that's the number one reason why people don't really get that into astrology, because maybe the content that they stumble upon isn't describing something that is terribly relevant to, you know, their specific aspects. And that's why I think that there's such a space for community like astrologers in our community, and that I want to highlight like the I non-competitive but directly collaborative nature of this I don't know, field of study.
Yeah,
Field of
yeah.
study.
It's definitely it's an art and a study for sure.
I feel like I will be a forever student. I will have books and books and books, and I know that there are still books and books. I have a new rule that I have to read 2 books before I'm allowed to buy any more books.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, guy,
That's some
stop
true
the book.
Sag energy.
I'm telling you, Sag and Aquarius make a really fun combo. For myself, I'm not sure everyone else agrees, but
Well, and you bring that up because that is a collective energy too with but we're talking about Jupiter in context with Pisces because Jupiter is in Pisces during this Aquarius season. I feel like throughout all of these shifts and like you said, like it might show up differently for other people just based on what their personal charts are
yeah,
placing. But somewhere in their chart, we all have Capricorn somewhere in our chart. Now, whether we have a
absolutely.
lot of planets lined up there, like me and
Oh, I
Josie
love it.
do, we would have more portals of experience. But somewhere in our evolution as a collective, we are opening up to new levels of sovereignty and knowing what we value in our connections and our expression of pleasure or our expression of taking action to do something. And um, I was saying that we have a lot of support with Jupiter in Pisces. This is like
Oh, I'm
that
so
higher
glad you just brought
mind.
that up. I was staring at it.
Yeah,
Mist.
like
Oh
the
my gosh, that's
higher
the best.
the higher mind, the spiritual guidance, and reading
But
books like
Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces, like all
woo,
together, like mobbing deep. Like that is wow, that is some energy there. I
yeah,
feel
and then
like
Jupiter is
Pisces
going to be
energy
conjunct
is really
Neptune
happy.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and Jupiter's going to be conjunct Neptune too, come I believe March. So I feel like yeah, we have this Aquarian like kind of awkward energy that's ultimately here to take us to our next level, our next experience of like sovereignty and ahead of our time, sort of heading towards our future and having learned what we learned through the Capricorn season and Capricorn building these themes. But Jupiter is coming in with this higher knowledge, wanting to
Mm,
gain a spiritual perspective, per se, or a more sound understanding of being that student and not kind of limiting our mindset on what we're capable of obtaining at this stage in our life.
yeah.
So I think that's
And
kind of helpful.
elevating, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a playful energy. It's beautiful. Those planets are so happy there. And I think that it's a really great little sandwich whenever you look up at, Chiron and Aries. But uh, now is the time, I think, specifically to sort of like rest and take stock
Mm,
and prepare for action because it's coming. It's finishing. It's like launch point. Like we're at launch
yes.
point. So take your
Yes.
drink of water, go to the bathroom, get your snacks.
I feel that, especially when Mercury goes direct, February 4th, 2020. Oh, it's 2022. So 2022, wow. February 4th,
Yeah.
2022, when Mercury
Oh,
goes
it's
into direct
so
motion. I know.
yeah.
When Mercury goes into direct motion, oh yeah, I feel like that's definitely going to be the launching point. And I've seen, just looking at the charts throughout the year, we're gonna have like, I'm thinking about like a racetrack where the cars do a couple laps and they have to stop and get like the fine tune.
Wow, the pit stops. Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, around this
Absolutely.
Mars and Venus energy, because that is ultimately our north and south node.
Right.
Taurus energy being related to Venus, and Scorpio also related to Mars and Pluto. So
Mm-hmm.
we're getting a fine tuning, but the level of material reality that's going to be shifting and changing,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Oh yeah.
with
Yeah.
Capricorn can really change, like, the it works with the material realm, it works with our decisions and what type of cause and effect come from those decisions. So it is a
Straight
good
up.
time to take a break before. I mean, I think we've had a bit of a break in January that we didn't see coming. It was kind of like, okay, let's do January. And January's like, you're gonna get this opportunity to prepare your materials for when it's time to go on that racetrack. You have your car tuned up, you have your tires pumped with the air that you know that you're
That's
gonna
it.
act on what you
Exactly.
value
You're
and
ready.
whatnot.
Capricorn energy, you should be ready. Capricorn is ready. So we're going into Aquarius ready. And if you're not ready, then you're as ready as you're ever going to be because we're
It's
going.
time. Yep, it is. It's
It's
time.
time. I
Wow.
think of the water bearer as it's so beautiful. People have that sort of confusion around Aquarius at large, and that's sort of generalizing between like, oh, I thought they were a water sign because it's like the water bearer, and it's so appropriate though because I sort of get this vision of like this sort of eccentric creature with this maybe like goggle helmet thing on, arriving in this like stream of water, almost like a rail car or a roller coaster car. Like, okay, jump in, let's go. You know, we're going, off we go. So it's very
Yeah,
air water.
pouring
Aquarius does
wisdom
well with the
too.
water signs.
Yeah, and that's a very unpopular opinion. And being a water sign, I'm so glad you said that, because Aquarius are definitely really great with inspiring, but not having to convince in that process. Just
The
their
deal
energy
is
is
with a
there.
conscious relationship where everybody's taking responsibility for their own feelings, Aquarius is so great with water signs because like Aquarius energy can nobody can witness and because we're analyzing you nobody can witness the depths of your emotions more. Then Aquarius also has to have like a purpose and see like have sort of like that pursuit. It has to be again like individually based on different aspects, but I see it there, and I see that it's I personally think that Aquarius does well with everybody if they have to. Aquarius is kind of like the person that you put with the kid who didn't get picked during kickball. It's like, hey, listen, where's Aquarius? Listen, hey, you're going to be this kid's friend, okay? Yeah, all right, have a nice, recess. That's Aquarius because you know that Aquarius is going to be able to talk to this person about something. That's Aquarius. But it's for me, how I mean, I welcome anybody who disagrees or experiences something different, but, and I know a lot of people do not have that opinion of Aquarius and the water signs, but I experience it myself and I've seen it show up in charts. And I think that, yeah, we can shift that, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think Aquarius is definitely focused on attracting more evolution in our lives, and it doesn't matter if you have an Aquarius Sun, Moon, and Mercury, or nothing in Aquarius. Somewhere in your chart, there is a
You are
house
Aquarius,
that
exactly.
has Aquarius, and that area in your life is attracting more evolution and walking away from themes that don't support that
Beautifully put.
healthy analyzing of what's going on emotionally, what's going on with what has been triggered, and it's showing up in our relationships. Aquarius is also the greatest friend of the zodiac. It knows how
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
show up for their friends, or show up for connections, but not in a way that is reliant on anyone beyond their own joy, beyond their own ability to show up. Um,
Hmm.
and I forgot what I was gonna say. It was definitely
Somebody.
so as Mercury, not Mercury, as Venus and Mars are in Capricorn throughout, quite frankly, Aquarius season, during Pisces season, Venus and Mars are going to be in Aquarius. So
Mm,
it's like in
mm.
March, we have this Capricorn energy that's like, yeah, we're doing it, we're building it, give me the blueprints. And Aquarius, Venus and Mars in March is going to take all the amplified energy that we're cultivating right now in our sun expression, in our daily life expression, and what we are seeing in our careers and our relationships and our home and family life, all of those areas of life that kind of create this experience of value. Um, Venus and Mars are going to start attracting that and magnetizing that in March with that Aquarius edge to it. So yeah, taking that time to have that analyzing nature of what's going
And it's a
on.
subjective approach, and that's the most
Hmm.
important thing. Like, I feel like Aquarius energy is very non-personal because it has to be. It's like you have to be able to approach it that way. Somebody has to be able to do it, you know? And I feel like that person, so to speak, that energy would be Aquarius.
And we're all gonna get to experience that based on what we've started to build in February come March.
We're
Like kind of
jumping
like,
in.
yeah, kind of
Welcome.
taking a moment to look
Jumping.
at it. It's an exciting time. I think this is going to be in a
It
very
is.
exciting year, especially from February to April. I feel like there's going to be a lot of momentum. It can feel a little tiring with Aquarius energy, though, because it's such a high frequency um, energy. We can feel a little more zapped just because our bodies are processing activation codes and elevated kind of galactic downloads at times with this Mercury going into direct motion, but with Pisces also in the mix with Jupiter. So,
Yeah, and
woo!
I mean, whenever you have Pluto, I'm just going to touch a little bit, like, I mean, about Saturn here. Like, Pluto is in Capricorn, right there with the retrograded planet. Then, Venus or Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Anytime you have Saturn and Pluto hanging out together, there's a lot going on. I think that there's a lot of opportunity to use the fuel that is being dug up right now from Pluto in that kind of productive sign that is ruled by Saturn, the ruler of like karmic nature and systems and just your inner belief systems, right? And then you go back into Chiron and Aries, sort of that like, okay, well, we're lighting it up again. Another one of those like, boom, we're doing it. Um, it's we have two choices here. We can kind of like drown in all of the information that's coming in and being thrown at us, and stick our head in the sand, so to speak, or do whatever we need to do to numb it. Also, we have some information that's coming to us from our shadow. We have, Chiron and Pluto and Saturn and all of these things sort of in these activated and awkward spaces, action oriented spaces. And so I just think that highlighting that and understanding that these things coming up right now, it's not meant to be like punishment or more than you can take while things are already shifting and changing. I view it very much as fuel. It's something that we need to be able to capture and transmute. You gave me just like one of the greatest readings ever. And we were talking about some of the Scorpio aspects of my chart down in my lower heavens, and this bottling, so to speak, technique that you know what I'm talking about. And I sort
Mm.
of almost feel like that is so sort of like relevant in that way, that right now we have the opportunity to either take this stuff that's bubbling up to the surface and use it as fuel and like take our chem sets out and turn this into something else usable, or we can just decide to like drown in it. But guess what? You're going to float around this little circle river and end up right back where you were with more karma attached to it. So,
Yeah,
my
Saturn.
recommendation would be stand up and do it. That's
I
what
would.
Saturn is actually
That's
saying with that staff.
phenomenal.
Stand up.
Yeah,
Saturn is actually with that staff. Everybody thinks that he's trying to like just like reap all the crops and do all these things terrible. And he is going to do that if it's, not relevant in your life. But he's also going to like, he's trying to help you up into your highest and truest potential. He's like, here, like grab onto this now that you've drowned enough. Like, let me pull you up to where you're supposed to be. I don't
the
know. That's
great
sort of where I
teacher.
see that. Yeah, like the great teacher. Exactly. It's like, okay, you passed your test. You're not dead. Congratulations. Get out of my classroom.
Kind of like
That's sort of,
Doctor Strange, if anyone's watched Marvel Doctor Strange, and how he was learning about his powers and had a lot of moments of
oh my
being
God.
left. And I remember he was like left on a freezing cold mountain and had to open up a portal and was just trying to figure it out as he
Wow.
goes. But this, when you were talking too about Pluto, I just saw this visual of a bottle that is full of things that we have collectively bottled up, maybe in
Mm-hmm.
times before
Mm.
this lifetime, just generational
Wow.
um,
Yes. 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 Yes.
shadow that
Oh my
the
God.
bottle has just popped open, and we as a
Use it.
collective are using what was bottled up
But I feel like
as
Aquarius knows that it's usable and that it's being
mhm.
used. I feel like it's being used. So like hang in there, right? Like if it's tough,
Yeah,
some people are excited about the change, right? Some people are more comfortable with change than others.
and the
But
intensity
I
of
see it as
Scorpio,
productive.
some people can go into that shadow realm, and I mean I'm a Pisces,
Comfortable.
so I definitely can on one level enjoy that lighter, like, okay, cleared energy, more innocent energy.
Sure.
But once the
Sure.
shadow
Yeah.
is there, it's like,
You
okay, this
dive
has a
in.
message too. There's something potent here, and I think that's what we're collectively picking up. And if we're not ready to pick that up, we do have free will. We can leave it bottled as individuals, but Saturn, that great teacher, is going to be like, all right, I'm gonna leave you here, and if you don't want to deal with that bottle, that's fine, but good luck figuring your way to the next step in life.
Exactly, exactly. And again, this is where everybody, wants to rag on Saturn, myself included, because I'm clawing my way out of my return right now. But like, I just, somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to take that role in the zodiac, and not everybody can be Venus, okay? You know? So so I just feel like it's important to see the message behind it and the productivity involved right now with Capricorn. There's so much Capricorn and Aquarius energy that it's just like sick. And I love it because I'm me, but also
Hmm.
Pisces and anything Jupiter, Neptune is really like activated. And I feel like that's kind of like the fun, lighter side of what's happening right now. And I'm grateful for it.
It
And
kind
I'm
of has
grateful
this.
for you and this chat.
Yeah, I'm glad we experimented with doing this digitally, and hopefully we'll do more videos like this. I definitely feel that with this Pisces energy, we're getting a lot of divine support, and even though the
Hmm.
twists and turns of Aquarius and the objective mind can kind of make things less than what we had seen before, or even potentially more, like it's whatever our experience is of our perception. um this is about planting seeds for what we're building in the future, and
Oh,
future
wow.
is
Well
going to
said.
start.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to start around now with this
Now is
mark
the
of
time.
Aquarius energy. It's like Aquarius is all about the future. So I'd say this is a good time to really to choose how you want to perceive that future through your actions, and taking moments to stop and be sure that you're aligning with the values that have been revealed to you about your next chapter in life, and opening up that bottle and all those themes we've talked about. It's been great chatting with you, and yeah.
Yeah. So beautiful. Thank you. I love wrapping this out. It always comes out however it's supposed to.
Yes. So, on that note, I think we will close the conversation. Did you have anything you wanted to add on, Josie, before we end our chat?
No, just that I'm grateful and I look forward to more chats and um yeah, more events. So thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you all for listening online. If you want to stay in touch, just be sure to look at the caption, and there will be Instagram handles, all of that good stuff, so we can all stay connected and continue to do more. And feel free to comment if you have any realizations while we were chatting, any sort of Aquarius ideas or themes, and Plutonian, anything that is relevant to our conversation. I'd love to hear your ideas and feedback.